So, formally welcome to our latest class in this 6-week course on yoga for mental health. And tonight's theme is how we use sound to calm the mind. So yoga is part of body-mind medicine and has that insight which really comes from holistic approaches to health and also from the Eastern tradition in its broadest sense of realizing or having the insight that the state of mind affects the body and the state of the body affects the mind. So in the very traditional medical model, the doctor will just look at the pathology of whatever illness is going on, just look at the body and prescribe some kind of solution to that. And the holistic layer that is complementary to that model is to acknowledge the body-mind connection and approach the person as a whole, both body and mind. I'm sure all of us could have that shared experience of the way in which sound calms us, and that might be a favorite piece of music. I mean, equally, we might use music to get excited or dance around or sort of awaken the mind, but that's not really a good idea late at night. So that's why I play that Ben Lineback music before class, which I really love, and that's very relaxing and calming for me. You'll have your own choices. But if we think about the yoga tradition, then the use of sound to have an effect on the mind has got an incredibly long history, more than 5,000 years. And in fact, you know, I'm sure from the beginnings of Homo sapiens sitting around a campfire, sharing stories, beating drums, doing whatever went on, the use of sound to change how we feel and our experience of consciousness has been there. So the oldest yogic texts, the Vedas, which are 5,000 years old, which don't contain anything really recognizable as a modern content of a modern yoga class, but nevertheless they are the roots of yoga. Because it was so long ago and there were no printing presses, everything had to be passed down orally. And because of that, in order to maintain the authenticity and accuracy of the text, a way of chanting just using 3 notes was used. And this had a double benefit, really. It made it easier to remember long passages of chanted verse. And also it meant it was more difficult for the person saying those texts to put their own interpretation on them by inflections of the voice. So there's a very rigorous way of maintaining an accurate oral tradition, which worked for a vast span of time. So in tonight's class, we're just going to look at a couple of really simple ways in which sound could help us have an effect on the mind, but also on the body. So we're going to do a little bit of work with the So-Ham breath. I'll explain that in a second. We'll do a little bit of work with humming, and at the end of the class we'll do a classical pranayama called bee breath, where you create a hum on the exhale and it's meant to sound a little bit like a bee. And we'll just see how that goes. So usually in the class situation, when I do this for the first time, there's that self-consciousness and unwillingness to do it. But I expect most of you are in a room on your own. So hopefully that barrier won't be there tonight. But as usual, sound work isn't for everybody. So if you don't fancy doing it, you can still do the whole class without making any sound whatsoever, if that's what you want to do. So let's begin, as usual, in the chair, in a really comfortable position. My feet aren't in shot, but I've got my feet on a yoga block, so I can really have the whole of my feet connecting down to the ground via the yoga block. Hands just resting on the thighs, just give the shoulders an initial release. And then either close your eyes or have a soft forward gaze and take a moment to notice exactly how you're feeling right now. Notice how you're feeling in your body. everything from just that feeling of being energized or being tired, of being ready to get out and do things, or ready for bed. So whatever you're feeling physically, absolutely fine. It's just setting and acknowledging our starting point for the practice. And then also acknowledging our quality of mind. So is your mind feeling really focused and steady and still? And if so, we'll hope to refine that further through the practice. And if you're feeling a little bit stressed or agitated or a scattered mind, then we'll hope just to make some progress towards calming the mind and bringing you to a sense of stillness within yourself. And the bridge between the body and the mind is the breath. So we'll begin to focus on that now, breathing in and out through the nose unless the nose is blocked. And just creating a nice easy rhythm of inhale and exhale. No strain, effortless breathing, but inviting just a gentle kind of 3/4, fairly full, slow inhalation and a nice long, easy letting go exhalation. So one of the mantras in the yoga tradition is called the So-Ham mantra. And it's the mantra of the breath because the yogis in meditation and in their focus on the breath believed that the sound of the inhale was like so, and they believed the sound of the exhale was like hum, so, hum. So we're just going to say that silently, and that is the most subtle and powerful way of working with sound. So we might think of sound as something external that we listen to or a sound we make, but a mantra can be internal, and that is its expression, its most subtle and powerful form. So just invite you to spend a few moments focusing on your own breath. And each time you breathe in, just saying silently to yourself, so. And when you exhale, hum, so, hum, so, hum. And just continue with that for 2 or 3 more breaths. And notice whether this practice is already beginning to have an effect on the body and the mind. The thing about sound work, chanting, mantra, or just listening to music is the instantaneous effect. It's a very powerful tool to change what we experience. So if you are prepared just to make a little bit of sound and you're okay with that, we're going to do our last 5 breaths where the so is silent because you can't actually make that sound while breathing in a kind of way that is at all pleasant or effective. So it's still silent on the inhale, so we're saying so to ourselves, but when we exhale, hum. So just lengthen the M so that you say the hum, and then you use the M to keep the out breath going until all your exhale is completed. Hum. Hum. And 2 more at your own pace. And at the end of the second one, again, just taking a moment to notice any effects, whether you like doing that, whether there was a kind of recoil effect. It's something, you know, it's personal, but it's also a little bit of practice. So if you start to do a little bit of simple sound work in your own practice, it may well be that you find it a very helpful tool and you want to do more. But horses for courses, whatever works for you. It's a toolbox of yoga techniques, and you find the set that really work for you. So eyes blinking open now, giving the arms a little shake, giving the shoulders a shake, letting everything feel soft in the upper body, but sitting tall through the midline, feeling the crown of the head subtly lifting up. So there's a sense of lightness through the core of the body. If the head has been held forward a little bit, if the back is a bit rounded from maybe sitting a lot during the day, just drawing everything back. So everything is stacked, head over heart, heart over pelvis, and you feel light and long and structurally balanced, both side to side and front to back. And then letting the arms hang, breathing in, drawing the shoulders forwards and up, and breathing out, back and down. So the way we're going to work with sound tonight is just a couple of points during the class. We'll just come back to variations or slightly new techniques and see if we can use the subtle sound work on the exhale to create a little bit of additional texture and depth and intelligence to our practice. Give the arms a little shake and then do an inhale where you lift the shoulders as high as you can and almost feel like you're sucking the head into the body. And then as you exhale, see how far you can take the shoulders down, reach the fingers down towards the ground and stretch the back of the neck by lifting the crown of the head. We'll do that once more. Inhale and exhale. Lovely. And then we're going to do a little side stretch. So right arm can just turn out, palm reaching out. And the first move is just to inhale and reach straight up. So feel as if you're creating a straight line from the right hip up through the right side of the body. And you're just lengthening up, lengthening up, lengthening up. And then turn the palm and exhale, release the arm down. Turn the left hand out, inhale, reach up and stretch. So really lengthening the breath, lengthening the side of the body, reaching as high as you can. And when you're ready to exhale, long exhale, lower the arm. Work with your own breath. I might be holding that just a little bit too long for you. So just reaching up all through the inhale. And this time going a tiny bit further. So the beginning of the side stretch. When you're ready to exhale, release the right arm down. And the release is as important as the stretch. So everything needs to go, just needs to feel like there's a sense of heaviness in the shoulder and the arm. Fingers are relaxed, they can just hang down. So, you know, after each one, this shoulder is going to be a bit lower than that one, and then it will keep swapping as you really, really become very gooey and soft in the shoulders. So breathing in, reaching up and just beginning the side stretch and breathing out. Release. We're going to do two more on each side and we're just going to increase the amount of side stretch a little bit more each time. So you're beginning to feel not only lengthening the side of the body, but you're beginning to stretch between each rib on the side as well. Exhale, down. Inhale and reach. And exhale down. And when you get to the last one, and if you've already done two more, just do an extra one. We're just going to hold the stretch for a couple of breaths. So exhaling into the stretch of the right arm, and then inhaling, lengthening a little bit more, exhale, softening. Inhale a little bit more, exhale, softening. Inhale, coming up. And exhale, release. Release that right shoulder and right arm. Give the arm a shake. Sustained stretch on the other side. Inhale exhale, and breathing in. Feel everything opening, stretching on the left side now. Inhale, actively stretch and go a little bit further. Exhale, soften into the side stretch. On the next inhale, coming up, and exhale, release, let the shoulders go soft. Give them another little lift and roll. And then bringing the palms together in front of the chest and inhaling, taking the arms wide, and actually just exhale, bring the palms together. I will show you this because we haven't quite done this variation before. So instead of exhaling, bringing the palms back together as we often do, we're going to inhale to this position to draw those released shoulders back and down and open the front of the chest. But as you exhale, you're going to bow forward and wrap the hands around the thighs and tuck the chin in and let the crown of the head point down towards the floor at the end of the exhale. And then as you breathe in, coming back up, open up. And as you breathe out, bowing forwards, wrap the hands. So just working at your own pace. I'm just going to give you a side view of that if it wasn't clear. Inhale and exhale. A little bit of breath and movement, a little bit of forward and back. This feeling of opening and closing the front of the chest, just to awaken, stretch these muscles at the front, work the muscles at the back, stretch the muscles at the back, work the muscles at the front. Very nice. One more of those, and then next time you come up, arms wide, exhale, palms together, and then take the palms right in front of you. And this time we're going to go inhale, cactus arms, and exhale, hands onto the thigh, and another forward bend, this time just with a little bit of help from the hands to lower the body forwards and to lift the body up. Folding forward on the out breath. Once more. You can really get a deep inhalation there and exhale. And on this next exhale, just stay in the forward fold for a moment. So if you don't want to keep the hands on the thighs, you can just let the arms hang. You might even come deep enough to feel that you can lay the ribs on the thighs. If you need to separate the feet a little bit more, make some space so your stomach isn't squashed, that's absolutely fine. And just relaxing the head forward, so no tension in the shoulders or the neck. Weight of the head hanging forward is stretching the neck and releasing the tight muscles at the back of the neck. And we do this most weeks because it's also a fabulous lower back release. So really allow the space and the softening to come in that lumbar area. Fantastic. And then to come out of that, we just lift the head, then flatten the back, come up with a nice flat back, give the shoulders another lift and roll, and then we'll turn sideways on the chair. If you're working on the mat, you can just stay cross-legged. And we're going to do that same movement, breathing in cactus arms to open the chest and really lengthen up. And then we're going to exhale and rotate the shoulders to the right, but turn the head the opposite way. We're going to hold this for 3 breaths, but it's not actually completely static. So with each inhale, feel that you are lengthening the center line of the body, the axis. And as you do a nice long exhale, soften the shoulders so that they rotate round a little bit more, and soften the neck so the head turns into the room. And if you've got the kind of chair where it's comfortable to hold the back of the chair, feel free to do that. Just notice how that feels. Hopefully the back is feeling good. If you've got any back issues, you can just slightly decrease the amount of twist, and just make sure that you are drawing up through the lower abdominals to support the lower back, so that you're not overarching into the lumbar spine. That wouldn't be a straight axis, that would be more of a curving back bend shape to the spine. And then breathing in, we're going to come round to the front and then take ourselves around to the other side. Inhale, cactus arms, shoulders back and down, and exhale, shoulders going left, head turning right. And again, just use your breath. Inhale, lengthening up through the axis. Exhale, softening and deepening a little further into the twist. One more breath here. Very good. And then on an inhale, releasing back to the front, and one final bow forward to come back to the midline of the spine, just a little counter pose. And then we're going to breathe in, sit up. And most of you I know will be coming down to the mat, but if you want to stay in the chair, I will be giving some chair cues tonight as well. So our first practice on the mat is to draw the knees in, as we do almost every week. So supporting the back of the head, making sure the chin isn't higher than the forehead, lots of space. So that lovely axis we just created in the twist is now present, even though we're lying down. Knees are coming in, holding the shins. If you've got just a little bit of knee issue going on, you don't want to squeeze the joint too tightly closed. So you just hold the back of the thigh and either keep the feet away a little bit or just relax the lower legs. And then work with your exhale to draw the knees in. And on your inhale, let the knees release away, let the arms straighten. If you're doing this in a chair, you just work with one leg at a time, exhaling and inhaling. Very nice. And then the next time you breathe in and the arms are straight, just let that left leg release down. Keep it with the foot flat on the floor for a moment and just take an opportunity to rotate into the right ankle. We're going to do quite a lot of work on the feet in a little bit when we come up to standing. So this is quite brief. Point the toes, pull the toes back, spread the toes, and then if it's appropriate for you, sliding the left leg straight. And we're just going to do 2 of these, breathing out, drawing the right thigh in, keeping the shoulders relaxed and down. Inhale, release the thigh away. Exhale, left leg really strong, heel pushing away, toes pulling back. And then on an inhale, let that right foot go down and bring the left leg in. And in the same way, a little bit of ankle mobilization on the left side. And point the toes, pull the toes back, and then sliding the leg straight and exhaling, drawing the thigh in. If that's okay for you to work in that way. Lovely. And then when you've done that twice on that left leg, release the left leg, slide the leg straight, give the legs a little bounce up and down, and then breathing in, take a long stretch with both arms overhead, stretching through the legs. And if you're working in the chair, just going to really press the feet down into the floor and reaching up, lengthening up, palms forwards, and lots of space for the shoulders, not hunching them, but letting them come up in a soft, released way. If you're working in a chair, you're going to not hold the posture, because holding the arms up in the air is tiring very quickly. So just a couple of breaths and then lower back down. So on the next exhale, we're going to bring the arms back beside the body. Legs are still straight. And we're just going to see if the mantra that we use, the So Ham mantra, whether we can just integrate this into this stretch and see whether it has any additional effect, whether it adds any value to what we're doing. So again, we'll start silently. As you breathe in, saying silently so, and this is your active stretch. And then as you exhale, long exhale, saying silently hum, and allowing the body to go and dissolve into softness at the end of that exhale. So inhale, active stretch, hum, release, soften on the exhale. We're going to do two more. So if you want to try that, vocalizing the hum, inhale, hum, and then bring the knees in over the chest. So each time we do a little bit of sound work, just have a little mental reflection on how that was for you, whether it had any effect. A lot of people's experience in doing that is that they find they can really stretch the exhale by making that sound and the long M. And you'll know from all the previous classes we've done how important that long exhale is for parasympathetic relaxation response, for dissolving blockages and stretches. So that's the kind of physical payoff that we're hoping to get from our sound work while doing our posture practice. We'll have one hand on each knee now, and we'll begin to circle into the hips. And we're going to do two hip opening practices here, one after the other. And we're just going to take a little bit of time. It's really important to keep the hips from getting stiff, and if they're stiff, to begin to put a bit more space back into the joint, because it affects the knee below and the lower back above and the sacroiliac joint if the hips become stiff, if you lose range of movement. So it keeps the joint healthy, but it also keeps other parts of the body functioning exactly as they should. So let's reverse our circles now. Still trying to go softly and mindfully a little bit wider with each circle. Fantastic. And then next time the knees come together, we're going to take the feet down, but keep the knees together. And we're going to do the same arm movement we did a moment ago, but this time very softly. And as you breathe in and take the arms overhead, you're going to let the knees drop out to the sides and try to bring the soles of the feet towards each other. This is a position called Supta Baddha Konasana. And then as we exhale, we're going to bring the arms back and bring the knees back together. I'm sure you've all got that. Let's give a slight different angle. Breathing in and breathing out. And then on the next inhale, we'll allow the knees to stay in the open position, soles of the feet together. And you can either leave the arms overhead with the elbows bent, shoulders relaxed if that's comfortable. If that's not comfortable, bring the arms back because we're focusing on the hips here. So I don't mind arms overhead, arms beside the body as it suits you. And this time, as you breathe in, you're just going to slightly squeeze the soles of the feet together. And as you breathe out, you're going to allow the legs to relax down, knees going a little bit closer down towards the floor, hips opening. In a chair, yoga block would be really useful for this. You'd just be doing a very similar movement, arms up, knees separating. Soles of the feet are not going to come fully together in this position, but it's still a really good hip opener that you can do. And then make the next exhale your last one in that posture, and then breathing in, draw the knees towards each other. If you've got the arms overhead, bring them back. Bring the knees in over the chest and take a little rock from side to side. So releasing the lower back. So sometimes this position, if the hips are tight, you can feel that connection that I just spoke about between the hips and the lower back, and the lower back likes to be released after that pose. Very nice. We'll take the feet down onto the floor, arms a little way away from the body. We can do some really easy twisting. So we're just going to drop the knees over to the right, and then we're going to hold that position with the legs. Stretch the right arm away from you, breathing in, tuck the chin in, lengthen through the crown of the head, and then on your exhale, roll the head the opposite way to the knees. And then just hold that position for a couple of breaths. And the way that we'll deepen the twisting sensation is as you inhale and focus on lengthening the axis of the spine, just squeezing the thighs together slightly. And as you exhale, softening more deeply into the twist. Just for maybe one or two of you who are used to quite strong yoga practice, in this position, if it's really comfortable for you, you could extend the top leg. You don't really want this top leg hanging out in midair. You want to extend it and try and get the toe or some of the foot on the floor. Simply by lengthening out that top leg, you add a little bit more leverage to draw the hips around further, and that will deepen the twist in the spine. It's not going to be for everyone, but maybe one or two of you. And then on an inhale, bring the head and knees to center, and then exhaling to the other side, knees moving over to the left. Breathing in, lengthen up through the axis, and exhale, turn the head around that axis to look the opposite way. Knees to the left, head to the right. And just one more breath there. And if you extended the leg on the other side, I'm sure you've already done that, but feel free to do that and take an additional breath or two there just to even yourself up. So when you're ready to release, bend the top leg if you straightened it, and bring the knees back to center. And again, just hugging the knees in over the chest, a little rock from side to side to release yourself from the effects of that twist. So our last practice on the mat, we're going to reintegrate a little bit of sound work, and we're also going to use the belt. And this has become a really familiar stretch for you, because it's not that I've deliberately want to put it in every single week, but I find it's so effective. I find it very hard to leave it out of the lesson plans at the moment. So left leg is bent, foot flat on the floor, and you really want a feeling that the back of the pelvis is flat on the mat, shoulders are released, not hunching up, and give yourself enough belt. Maybe you wrap the belt once around the hands, and as I'm sure you'll remember by now, breathing in, you're going to bend the knee, bring it towards the right side of the chest, and breathing out, we're going to stretch and straighten the leg, and just take an appropriate stretch into the back of the right leg there. When you inhale, let the leg be led by the breath, and as you exhale, stretch. So I'm sure you know what's going to come next. We're going to say silently "so" on the inhale, and we're going to silently say "hum" on the exhale as we stretch. But you may have already had that experience of the vocalized version of hum, really helping you to extend the breath. So we're going to do that for 3 breaths for those who would like to. Inhale, so hum, so hum, so hum. As that third hum just dies away, just hold, maintain the stretch, maintain the breath, maintain that mantra in its silent form for 3 more breaths. And try to feel that as you are exhaling and saying silently to yourself, hum, try to feel as if any resistance, any obstacles to this stretch expressing itself fully, any obstacles to you finding the maximum space tonight in the back of that right leg, that is just beginning to shift and dissolve. And then on your next inhale, let the right knee bend. The left foot's going to come in and take over the bell. Right foot in semi-supine. And we know what we're doing, so we're inhaling and exhaling. Just a couple of breath and movements to get into what we're doing. And then beginning first with the mantra silently, so hum, so hum, so hum. And then 3 breaths, saying the hum out loud. Hum, hum, hum. And maintaining the stretch, silently saying the mantra to yourself for 3 more slow, deep, mindful breaths. And when you completed the 3rd breath, just let that left knee bend, release the belt, draw the knees in, take a little rock from side to side. Notice any effects on that practice, maybe a slightly different effect to the one you normally feel when we do those 2 hamstring stretches. Then we're going to roll over onto our side. And we're going to come into the cat, and you can do that on the mat if you want to, or you can use the back of the chair. I know that those of you who are working in a chair have done that many times, so I'm sure you were doing that last practice exactly as I intended, even though I didn't actually demonstrate that to you. So using the back of the chair for the cat. So even if you're working with the hands on the mat, we're gonna I'm gonna get you to come up and use the back of the chair in a moment, because we're going to be doing something with the feet. But initially you're fine for now. So make sure the feet are hip width apart, or they can be just a tiny bit wider. Make sure your chair is really stable, and then focus on the spinal movement. The exhale drawing the navel in, tucking the chin in, tucking the tailbone under, breathing in, coming through a neutral spine, and then beginning to open into back bend. There's a slight sense of sticking the bottom out a little bit, but the main feeling is that the sit bones begin to move back and they get a little bit wider. So there's a feeling of stretch through the pelvic floor. It's quite a subtle sensation, but once you notice it, it's a really good sensation to notice when you're trying to do this practice, to indicate that you've really got the right movement going on through the pelvis. Inhale and exhale. And then if you're using the chair, just walk the feet in, come up to standing, release, give the arms a little shake. And if you've been doing your cat on all fours, coming up, taking hold of the back of the chair. So this will help us work the foot, but also prepare us for a little bit of balancing. So we're going to take the weight into the left foot, the standing leg, use the back of the chair for a little bit of balance. And we're going to start with a side to side movement of the back heel with the toes tucked under. So just scrunching the foot, pointing the foot away from you. And the rotation through the heel, as long as you haven't got a reason to do that. If you've got any knee trouble, you'd really do this with quite a straight leg, because when the leg is straight, the knee is a bit more protected than if you have a big bend in it. So just think about that. But there shouldn't be any discomfort in the knee, certainly, and there should be a kind of pleasant, mild sensation of release in the foot. I know if you've got a little bit of arthritis or inflammation there, then you'll appreciate that you can make this movement as light as you like, because the weight is going mainly through the standing leg. Okay, let's tuck the toes under now, and we're going to do a similar movement with the toes tucked under, so feeling like you're stretching through the sole of the foot. And then continuing, just working on this right leg, what we're going to do now is soften the standing leg, soften the knee there, and that will enable us just to push back through the right heel. And as long as you kept your stance fairly narrow, it should be fine for you to exhale and place that heel on the floor. If you can't get it down without too much stretch, uncomfortable feeling in the calf, just make the stance a little bit narrower. Actually, what we're going to do, we're going to breathe in, just lift the heel and move it back half an inch, and long exhale, stretch into that right calf and right Achilles. And you're just going to keep moving that foot back without turning it out at all until you reach that sweet spot of, during your exhale, really feeling that you're working length through the lower leg. So it's really from the right knee down through the heel that we want to feel the process of release and lengthening. And at some point you'll know you're in the right place, and if you've gone too far you won't be able to get the heel down, so you just come in a little bit and then hold that position. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're still on the right leg, so this is the last piece of this. We're going to breathe in, take the arms up into those cactus arms, then we're going to breathe out. So you might just need to move back. I'm standing a little bit close to my chair. We're going to breathe out, and we're going to take the spine forward and down. I'm going to inhale, come up, and exhale, come down. Inhale, come up, and exhale, coming down. And then breathing in, coming up, step the right leg forward, release the legs, give them a shake, and notice the difference in sensation there between the right leg and the left. So we're doing the sequence partly to prepare for what comes next. So let's go on and just do the same on the other leg. So reaching it back, turning the toes under, rotating the heel. It is a good hip opener as well, with this big rotation through the leg right up to that left hip, but it's mainly the toes. And any clicking and cracking in the toes shouldn't cause alarm. As long as there's no pain there, you're absolutely fine. And then tucking the toes under and doing the same movement, stretching the sole of the foot. And then softening the right knee just to provide a little bit more stability, and exhaling, stretching that left heel back down to the mat. Breathing in, just lifting the left heel, moving it back a little if you can, and take a few breaths again to find that perfect amount of stretch through the back lower leg. Don't overdo it because we are using the weight of the body here, sinking back to create quite a powerful stretch in the lower leg. So listen to what the muscle is telling you, listen to what the body is telling you, and just find the stretch that is opening and creating space in that area, but isn't causing any kind of shaking or feeling that you might strain that muscle. Probably round about now you'll be in your maximum stretch. So we'll release the chair. If you've kept your feet at least hip width apart, you should feel fairly stable. You can go a little bit wider. If you don't feel stable, you can continue to hold the back of the chair if you need to as well. Breathing in, breathing out, and exhale forwards. Breathing in and breathing out. Exhale forwards. Inhale and exhale. And breathing in, stepping forwards, release. Give the legs a little bounce and shake and release the shoulders as well. So last one in this sequence, we're going to bring back the sound. This time, rather than using slow hand, we're using something even more simple, which is just an sound. So it's the last syllable of, if you like, of om, which is A-U-M. It's the kind of most important and powerful chant and sound that it's possible to do in yoga. But we can simplify it and kind of take it out of its context a little bit and just use the end of it, the to lengthen the breath and deepen our experience of the posture. So in this case, it's going to be downward dog. So we've done all the work we want to do in the lower legs. So we're going to focus on stretching the spine. And for those of you who can, once you feel the spine is lengthened and the sit bones have gone back as far as they can, the arms are straight, the shoulders are stretched, you can just finish through that sound by straightening the legs, as long as it doesn't lead to any movement in the spine. So inhale, bend the knees, lift the chest, take the gaze slightly forwards and down, and then inhale. Just work at your own pace, one or two more. the end of the next one, walking the feet in, coming back up to standing. And again, just taking a moment to notice how that feels. I hope you felt in your own breath that sound, that humming sound could just add much more length than usual to the exhale, and that really helps you release, and the sound, the vibration seems to play a role in allowing everything to lengthen and move in a way that feels slightly more powerful than when we don't use sound. So we're going to do just a little bit of work in a modified Trikonasana to maintain the hip opening. So for those who need to work in a chair for this, because we're going to work with a bent knee, the left leg just goes to the edge, and then we'll be turning out the right foot and leaning onto the right forearm. And as we breathe in, looking down, and as we breathe out, we'll be extending up and turning the head. It's actually quite easy to do that in a chair. You'll find those of you who are going to have a go at this from standing, that because you're in a bit of a balance, you might not want to turn the head and look up, especially for the first 2 or 3. So I'm going to talk you into this. This is probably just about the most complicated alignment I've prepared to teach over Zoom. I'm pretty confident that you can all do this safely, but as usual, if it doesn't feel right, please mindfully release. So start with the feet just far enough apart that you're beginning to feel the stretch down through the inner thighs. The toes are facing forward on both feet, the hands are on the hips, and then begin to outwardly rotate both thighs, engaging the leg muscles at the front and the back. Almost feel that you're pulling up through the soles of the feet. So the feet are very active, the toes are gripping the ground. Keep everything going on in this left leg, and then allow the right knee to bend slightly and turn the right foot out. And it's just really important that you haven't turned the right foot out 90 degrees, which will probably mean that the knee and the foot are no longer going in the same direction. So you might need to bring that foot back in. So have a quick look and make sure the knee is right over the ankle and that the middle of the knee is lined up with the middle of the foot. And then come back up to vertical with the spine and just feel what's going on here. So we're still rotating out through the straight leg. We've got this leg held in a nice shallow lunge, but we're still rotating the thigh outwards. We're still rooting down through the soles of the feet down to the earth. So real sense of hip opening and strength through the legs here. And this is the platform for what we're going to do with the upper body. We're just going to lean over to the right leg. So you'll probably want to start with a straight arm, and some of you may go down to resting on the forearm. Let's start with a straight arm and just let this left arm hang. Turn the head and look down. And as you breathe in, just take the left arm up and stretch it up. And as you do that, try not to let the left shoulder rise up towards the ear. So plenty of space. So it's not absolutely vertical. It's following the line of the shoulders as it reaches up and you're looking down. Exhale, release the arm down. So remember, there's a little bit of balance here. If you're not confident about your balance, you could back yourself up against a wall, or you could use the chair with this right hand. But if you feel like you're going to be okay, you can breathe in and turn the head and follow the hand as you reach up, and exhale, release down. Inhale, opening up. Exhale, releasing down. If you want to go a little bit further over and use the forearm on the thigh, feel free to do that. Inhale, so. Exhale, hum. Release. Inhale, so. Exhale, hum. Really feel as if that arm, as it lowers, releases from the fingers, the wrist, the elbow, the shoulder, and completely relaxes once more. And this time looking down, pushing into that right foot, turning the foot in, walking the feet together and just giving the legs a little shake. Notice how that feels. Actually quite powerful, quite strong leg work. If that was a little bit too strong, don't do as many on this side. If you felt at all unstable, as I said, just have the security of being close to a wall or use the chair. Otherwise, you'll find a little bit of agitation will arise in the mind. So back to neutral with the legs, engage the thighs, rotate outwards, turn out the left foot and left hip. Ensure that alignment, knee over ankle, knee tracking the toes, foot not turned out 90 degrees. Come back to center, make everything strong, opening the hips. And then reaching out, keeping this side of the body long and letting the right arm have its turn to hang now. Remember, we're looking down for the first few. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale, releasing the arm down, let it soften. Inhale, keeping that line through the shoulders, through the fingertips, not trying to go here and tightening the shoulders that we've so painstakingly released. And if it feels okay for you, turning the head, so, hum. You can just say this silently to yourself as you do the breath and the movement. So, hum. So, hum. One more in your own time. And then straightening that leg, turning the foot in, heel and toe, step the legs together, give the arms a shake. And then noticing how we feel. And the last practice we're going to do is 3 rounds of sun salutations. You could do all of them in the chair or all of them standing, or a mixture of both, 2 standing and then move to the chair as you kind of wind down. Absolutely up to you. So we did some of these last week, so it will be familiar to many of you. I'm going to talk you through the first round and stay with you to give you a visual cue for rounds 2 and 3. We're going to try to maintain the Soham breath. So if possible, you're just going to allow the exhale to be a little longer, a little fuller than the inhalation. Breathing in. Breathing out, bending the knees, hands to thighs, bowing forwards. Breathing in, coming halfway up, flat back. Long exhale, hum, bow forwards. Breathing in, bend the knees flat back, coming up. Cactus arms, exhale. Hands together in front of the heart. Breathing in, send the hands up. Exhale, sway to the right. Inhale to center. Exhale. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, sway to the left. Inhale, reach up. Exhale. Round 2, inhale. Exhale. Inhale, so. Exhale, hum. Inhale, so. Hum. Say it silently, or if you want to, say it out loud on the exhale, if you've been finding that helpful. So, hum. So, hum. So, hum. One more in your own time, standing or sitting. Hum. 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 And at the end of the last sun salutation, just pause for a moment, standing or sitting, eyes closed or downcast. Notice how you feel. Reflect on whether the Soham mantra, the use of sound, internal or external, is helping you, is deepening the practice and its effects. And it really doesn't matter whether you love it or hate it. That's fine. And then we are coming down to our closing pose now. So the usual one, resting the lower legs on the chair, supporting the back of the head, elevating the hips slightly with a yoga block if you have one. And coming into this restorative mild inversion. If you're happy to close the eyes, otherwise a soft gaze up to the ceiling. Heart rate is slightly elevated by the dynamic sequence of sun salutation. Just notice how your body is settling, releasing, heart rate lowering, breath becoming softer and more released. And then we're going to transition into our relaxation. If you're really enjoying this position, feel free to remain here for as long as you want to. And if you're ready to either release the legs down or come into semi-supine, or whatever comfortable relaxation position you need to be in, all are allowed. Just coming into that and maintaining the inward focus, either with the eyes closed or a soft gaze, and tuning into your breath. So we're going to do a simple relaxation. Again, just using the Soham mantra. But this time, not vocalizing on the exhale, simply using so on inhale, hum on exhale, said silently to access the releasing power of the out-breath. So take a moment to notice exactly how your body feels. Notice the points of contact down to the earth, through the back of the body. If you're sitting in a chair, remember to use this as a concentration exercise. Don't allow yourself to fall asleep unless you have a really secure chair with sides. Always trying to stay awake, but in a zone of restorative relaxation when we do these relaxation practices. So take your focus to the whole of the right leg, and for the next 3 breaths, with your focus there, inhale silently, so, exhale silently, hum. Allow the right leg to soften and release with each exhalation. Take the focus to the left leg. Inhale, so, exhale, hum. Let the left leg soften and release. Awareness to the hips and the lower back. Inhale, so, exhale, hum. The hips and the lower back can soften and release. Awareness to the upper chest and the shoulders. Inhale, so. Exhale, hum. Let the upper chest and the shoulders sink into softness. Focus on the whole of the right arm. Inhale, so. Exhale, hum. The right arm is softening and releasing. Focus on the whole of the left arm. Inhale, so. Exhale, hum. And the left arm is softening and releasing. Awareness to the neck, the head and the face. Inhale, so. Exhale, hum. soften and release the neck, the head, and the face. Be aware of the whole of the body once more. And as you breathe in, feel as if you're breathing into the whole of your body. And as you breathe out with a hum, feel as if the whole of your body breathes out. And now allow your breath to deepen. Move the fingers, wriggle the toes, and stretch your body in any way that feels good. If you're lying with the legs straight, think about bending the knees, rolling onto your side. Now we're going to make our way back up to sitting. If you prefer to sit cross-legged on the floor, that's fine. If you prefer to come back into the chair, that is also fine. I'm going to close with a final breathing practice, the bee breath, the much loved bee breath. And it's just basically the humming that we did earlier in the class. And we're going to do it for 5 breaths. So our inhale will just be silent, inhaling in through the nose unless the nose is blocked. But the exhale is through the mouth, and we're creating a long humming sound with the exhale. So I'm going to do one for you and then invite you to join in. And as we said before, if you don't want to make sound, that's absolutely fine. At the end of the 5th exhalation, just allow your breath to return to its own natural rhythm. And again, take a moment to reflect on the effects of that practice on the body, on the mind. Well worth just exploring and experimenting with little bits of sound work, particularly if you enjoyed it this evening, and finding which of the techniques really work for you that you're happy to do and feel confident with. So I haven't talked about Om. We haven't chanted Om, and that's partly a choice just to make the class very inclusive and secular, if you like. But if I had more time, I'd talk to you a little bit about the way in which Om is a mantra that kind of transcends religions. It's there in Buddhist thought and teachings. It's there in Hindu thought and teachings. It's also there in yoga texts, which are non-religious in nature, some of them. And the main text of Yoga, Patanjali, has a few sections which mention Om, but in particular, this section says that when we do chant Om, you're expressing a kind of sacred syllable that helps you transcend the present. It helps you go beyond time and space and takes you into a new dimension of consciousness. And you'll know, I'm sure, that with a mala bead, a string of beads on a necklace, 108 beads, so you would chant Om 108 times, and that would have really quite a powerful effect. But it's kind of beyond the scope of the class, but I didn't want to do a class on the healing power of yoga and the mental health benefits without touching on Om. So it may be something you'd like to explore a little bit more in your own time. Thank you very much for joining me tonight. Have a lovely week and see you next time.